reached Clever Ruse?
Yes, hello. This is Willikins the butler, from Nick Hall.
Yes? You must be very proud.
We spoke earlier at length. You came here and told me what evidence I'd need to present in order to solve the murder that took place earlier today.
Oh, yes, of course. You've located that evidence, then.
More or less, yes.
And said evidence exonerates your lord and master?
As far as you know, yes.
Excellent. I shall be there momentarily. Meet me at the scene of the crime.
Very good. Obviously, some of this evidence paints Master Nick in a, shall we say, less than innocent light. But I think I can accidentally omit those details when presenting it to Mr. Roos.
Excellent work, chap. Top notch. Couldn't have done it better myself.
You didn't.
Yes, but now comes the most important bit. Assembling this data into an official Clever Ruse information packet for easy consumption, processing, and adaptation into various forms of highly lucrative media.
So you're going to take the hard work I've done, scrawl your name at the top, and take credit for the whole thing.
It's a bit more complicated than that.
Is it? Explain it to me, then.
No time for that. I've an important call to make. I shall be in this adjoining room here, not to be disturbed.
Who does he think he is, ordering me about like that?
That's my job!
Off I go! What was that code we'd agreed upon for when someone we don't want hanging about is hanging about? Well, I can't remember it either. That's why I asked you. Don't forget it. The point is, someone is in the room now, and I can't say anything. Yes, I have all the evidence that clears Lord Nick's name. No, I didn't need to lift a finger. I convinced the idiot butler to do it for me. He's quite the idiot, and also extremely ugly.
Well, that's just hurtful.
And get this, he actually believed I was affiliated with law enforcement. Didn't ask to see a single credential. Ugly idiot. Of course I'm going to bugger down the loo. What better way to destroy the evidence, assuring his inevitable execution, and then I shall have unfettered access to those bearer bonds. No, I don't know what they are, but I know they're valuable. Something to do with the war, I think. Anyway, that's my sinister plan. But look at me dominating the conversation. How have you been? I see. Yes. Oh, and how is Uncle Alfie? Still dead, then?
Good heavens, I must call emergency services immediately.
Emergency services, how may I direct your call?
Hello, I wonder if I might... Wait a minute, that's not Beryl, is it?
Oh, well spotted, sir. I can see from our display that you're calling from a rather posh mansion, so you may not comprehend this. But working folk are entitled to a day off once in a while. We are, despite the way you lot treat us, human.
Yes, of course. As the personal servant to a rather difficult master,
Are you taking the piss, sir?
I beg your pardon?
We ain't servants. We've no use for that archaic class-based nonsense here. Now, what was it that you wanted?
I must speak with Detective Inspector Bobby at once.
A servant speak to an inspector? Not on my watch, sir. D.I. Bobby is much too busy to waste her time on the likes of you.
Really, this is rather urgent.
Well, if it's so bloody urgent, I'm sure your master will have no trouble phoning back.
Well, that was a real roller coaster of class politics. Suppose I'll have to convince Master Nick to phone for the inspector. Sir, if you would, the authorities require an authority to convince them to return to the hall. And I suppose that means you. Sir, are you in there?
Willikins, where the hell have you been?
I was about to ask you the same question, sir. Although I may not have phrased it quite so aggressively, depending on how I was feeling at the moment.
I was lying in my bed wondering why I was feeling so bloody peckish when I realized you never actually fed me today. So, at considerable risk to my person, I came down here to see if we were somehow out of food. Not only did I discover that we were not, which therefore means you're just as lazy as I always suspected you to be, but I also found the hole in a state that I can only describe as a complete disaster.
Yes, sir. Only I have been devoting considerable time and energy to clearing you of these murder charges. And, to that end, I need you to phone the police at, as you would say, Wumps.
Ah, no you don't. I'm not lifting a bloody finger for you until you answer for this mess. Starting with this room here, the food laboratory?
The kitchen, sir.
Right, that thing. Now, I know you were down here at least twice today, and as far as I can tell, you just sort of wandered away without preparing me any food. Why did you do that? Where's my food? And most importantly, why did you do that?
Because I'm a rubbish butler?
Go on.
Who is terrible at everything?
Correct. Now to the wine cellar for further admonishments.
Oh, good.
Now then, I very generously granted you this personal living space when you wouldn't stop grumbling about sharing a kennel with my little dog Willikins.
Extremely generous of you, yes, sir.
And now I see that you converted it to a bloody swimming hole. We're not zoned for that, Willikins. Explain yourself.
Because I'm literally the most worthless, thick-headed soul to ever draw breath.
Got it in one. Or possibly two. I can't be asked to count. Right, now it's on to the front garden.
Sir, this all seems a bit needlessly complicated.
It would seem that way to you, wouldn't it? And now we come to this. You do realise that is meant to be a hedge maze of doom, don't you, Willikins? Only now there's this obvious gaping hole in the thing that any idiot could easily escape from. Possibly even you.
Because I'm a jerk, sir.
Yes?
Yes, sir. A complete knee-biter.
There, that wasn't so hard now, was it?
Humiliating myself 3 times in a row? No, sir, that's just a typical day here at Nick Hall.
Too right. Now, what pointless thing was it that you wanted me to do?
I need you to phone the police, sir. It turns out that clever Roos fellow was attempting to scam us.
What, like in that movie where that bloke's head exploded?
No, sir, that's scanners.
What, like the Hulk's secret identity?
No, sir, that's Bruce Banner.
What, that trolley little man what's always on Hollywood squares?
No, sir, that's Bruce Valanche.
What, like my 4th favourite flavour of Dorito?
I don't believe Dorito is spelled that way, sir, but no, that's Cool Ranch.
What, like when Marge Simpson had a mental breakdown?
No, sir, that's Rancho Relaxo.
Constable Bobby returned to Nick Hall, whereupon she was regaled with an accounting of the true events that unfolded that fateful morning.
There I was, sequestered in my chambers. Willikins had ruined my brekkie twice and was almost certainly about to muck it up again. I got bored waiting for his inevitable failure, so I ventured downstairs of my own renaissance.
So don't you mean recognizance?
No, there I met Errol, who, in keeping with tradition, was stealing my newspaper to have a look at the page 4 girl.
Surely you mean the page 6 girl.
No! Unfortunately, before I could forthwith and heretofore arrive upon the scene in question, Willikins had got there first.
But, sir, I was clearly in the kitchen.
Not you, my little dog, Willikins.
You have a dog called Willikins. Doesn't that get confusing?
Not to me.
Him.
Apparently, Errol was not expecting the presence of a personage of the canine persuasion and, startled, stumbled backwards, impaling himself on my commemorative garden schlam. Impaling himself fatally to death until he died. And since I didn't want the authorities taking my little dog away, I hid him up here. The end.
That all makes perfect sense, sir. But there's one thing.
Ah, no you don't. The murder is solved and I'm innocent. Don't you go all Columbo on me now.
It's a fair cop. Unfortunately, we shall now have to bring someone else in for questioning.
Ah, yes, the so-called detective, Cleverous.
What? Who? Never heard of him. I meant the dog. You, my little murdering fellow, are coming with me.
Oh no!
Will Nick's dog be executed for murder? Was the vast majority of this game actually a pointless waste of everyone's time? And what of poor Errol?
Still dead.
I'm actually not sure why I'm asking these questions, because the story is over now. Roll credits!